breakfast puppies?
This podcast contains adult language and content and is meant for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
We're all set to begin, so let's dive right in to bikers, dice, and bars. Talking bicycles and motorbikes, gamer things and all the like. You can listen to it in your cars, but mostly it's about dive bars. Bikers, dice, and bars.
Hey, NPC. What are we drinking?
This time we are drinking something else from my recent foray looking for beers for the show. This is the Giant Panda Hazy IPA.
Robot Panda?
Sorry, Robot Panda. But a giant robot panda, giant robot. Anyway,
this gigantic robot kills.
This beer has me very confused.
It is from Hopworks Urban Brewery here in
would explain
Portland, Oregon. It is 6% I think. Let's see, India Pale Ale Hazy.
The beer smells like a brewery.
6.2% alcohol by volume. Does not have mentioned their bitterness.
So, fun fact,
Interesting.
I used to live about 3 blocks from the Hopworks Brewery on Powell.
I'm sorry.
And this smells like the wind blowing west.
No, that's what I'm saying. It
Totally.
smells like a brewery. It smells like when we had that ransom gin that had hops added to it, where it
Yep.
just smelled like a brewery. This beer smells and tastes like a brewery. I don't know how else to explain it. It just
I get that. I used to live downwind from a brewery in Colorado, so I get that.
That
Yeah.
potent smell you get when you take that brewery tour of all those hops being boiled. It smells like it smells and tastes like a hot boil.
Well, I've, never really been a fan of Hopworks locations because they're full of children. Because they let people bring their kids to the fucking bar.
Yep.
They are brew pubs.
They're a brew pub.
Right.
And that's why I don't go out that often. But when I've been, I've enjoyed their beer.
Mhm.
And they actually have pretty good food.
Mhm.
If it weren't for all those damn pesky kids.
So someday NPC is going to open his own brew pub that is 21 and over.
Come fuck your kids.
And it's going to be called Get Off My Lawn.
So, what you're saying is NPC and Just Jacob are doing a joint business venture in your future.
With me on the lawn, going full Gran Torino, sitting on the front lawn.
Full Gran Torino.
Okay, minus the
Minus the racism.
Yeah.
light racism. I'm allowed to. I'm ethnic. Anyways, sitting there, with an M1 Grant, just cleaning that, drinking beer, chain smoking cigarettes, and having a cute dog to pet.
There you go.
That's fine as long as I get a rocking chair on the porch with my shotgun cradle. I'm
Oh,
good.
and
100%.
So that the actual brew pub is going to be a classic style house. It's going to have
Yes.
a complete wraparound porch.
Yep.
And all of the seats on the porch will be rocking chairs.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Speaking of old people in rocking chairs, you're listening to Bikers, Dice, and Bars here in Portland, Oregon. I'm NPC.
I'm Just Jacob.
I'm not that old yet. Sorry, Dr. Xander, Gerrymander.
You will be.
Shut up, child.
I am Poppy Beaujolais, and I've recently become older.
You're older than you've ever been,
And now you're even older.
And now you're even older. And now you're even older. You're older than you've ever been. And now you're even older. And now you're older still.
Yes.
Time!
Keeps marching on. Okay, yeah, sorry.
We're good.
Time.
As regular listeners of the podcast will know, we do these in a recording that we record multiple episodes back to back. As you can guess, we've done a couple before then, and before now, I should say. And we are
Case in
having
point.
good buzz on.
It is.
I'm pretty drunk.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one staying sober because it's the middle of the fucking day on a Saturday and I'm going out later. So
Plus, you cheated.
We started afternoon. It's all good.
I cheated.
You skipped the second round.
I had a few sips of the beer. I was just I had nothing to say about space games, and I was like, you boys have fun. I'm going to go take a shower.
Everyone who considers that cheating, please raise their hand. Okay, cool.
Shot.
There was consent from the entire table.
Yeah.
It was ethical skipping.
I mean, we may have agreed that it's okay you cheated, but that doesn't change the fact it's cheating.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That is not how that works. Anyway, what are we talking about?
We're talking about drunk DMing.
Yeah, this is a good time to talk about it.
Yes.
It's kind of drunk.
Oh, yeah. So,
are we talking about direct messaging someone when you're drunk?
No, you were talking about running a game.
You know, it's funny because when the topic possibility was posted to our channel about drunk DMing, my brain went there. It's like, what about drunk texting? Yeah.
Drunk dungeon monitoring?
Yes.
Don't do that. Oh,
No.
holy shit.
Oh boy, did I miss send the wrong text the other night? That was really funny.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
I was.
I don't think you want this committed to a recordable medium, sir.
Is this going to be a Patreon only segment?
No, I don't
It
cut
is.
anymore.
It is pretty funny.
Yep.
One of the jobs I work at, we're all pretty just raunchy with each other as far as just text and communication. It's just no fucks given. No one cares. And
HR nightmare.
oh, HR. I hardly knew her.
What's HR?
Yeah, if I may just review the text real quick, 'cause it's pretty great.
Oh, no.
I was asking my boss, I had 2 bar backs the other night, and I'm like, is it 20% per each? Or is it 20% total, 10% for each? Whatever. And he goes, I'll use your judgment, blah, 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 blah. And he reminded me that he cut all the food for the night, which meant I should tip them out less. And I said, shit, do I have to tip you out too now, or just the tip? And then he replied back, just the tip with the little splashy water emoji, which we all know what that's supposed to mean. And then I wrote back, I'll leave an envelope full of jizz for you in the safe where we leave people their tips.
Yeah.
Except I accidentally sent that to a friend without context. And she was like, whoa, are you that bored at work? And I was like, and then of course, telling this person I was supposed to send that to my boss doesn't make it sound any better. I was like, I swear to God, there's context here.
Oh, my God. That's amazing.
So anyways, not direct messaging. Let's go back to dungeon mastering or I have to go.
It's funny because there's a lot of different contexts here for different terms that we're using, because drunk DMing can mean different things.
Yes.
But dungeon mastering also means different things.
True.
So it's very and the term RPG, of course, also means different things.
Can I have a rocket propelled grenade?
Ask a Ukrainian farmer.
Yeah.
You can have them all.
Then, of course, there's GM, which also means different things. Yeah, the terminology here is it's amusing how versatile it is and how it can be completely yes, that.
Yes. So
Drink.
Yes, I am. Thank you. My fine robot panda.
So we're talking about running a game in
Yeah.
this instance, rather than our personal horror stories about drunk DMing, because I don't want to go to that dark place in my life. And as it is, I spend way too much time getting drunk texts from others.
Drunk DMing. Well, I never call it DMing because I didn't start with D&D. I started with Palladium, where it's GMing. So drunk GMing.
General Motors?
Yes.
Game mastering.
Oh.
Genetically modified. Anyway, the drunk GMing is difficult unless everyone else is drunk, and then you're just,
You'd think
you're just
that.
drinking with dice.
You'd think that. A number of times over the course of my life, I have been at a convention or at one point just got off work and wanted to go home after bartending, and I'd had my free drinks because I'm from the upper Midwest. There's not an end of shift drink. There's an end of shift drinks.
I work at a place like that now, and it fucking rules.
And suddenly I get a phone call Jacob, we need to have you run a D&D game or whatever. And so I am well on the way of Four Sails of the Wind, and I am well far ahead of everybody else when it comes to alcohol intake. And so I am the least sober person at the table, and now I need to perform like a goddamn monkey for a bunch of players who don't value my inputs as a game master and expect me to remember the rules when I've had 6 shots.
Oh, my Lord.
Isn't the initial thing saying, house rules, motherfucker? Because that seems like that is the best way to go and solve that problem right away.
Absolutely. If you get Jacob as your drunk DM for the evening, house rules, motherfucker, is the first rule you put out on the table.
And I think the re-alliteration of that rule means house rules. The house rules.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to my house. Welcome a long time.
Best thing to dance and have a good. Sorry, Christian Kane. If you want to sponsor a podcast, please let us know.
But absolutely, you are 100% right. The easiest way to run a game while intoxicated is to have your players be as intoxicated as you are. Collective stupidity is an amazing thing.
Well, turning it into a drinking game is pretty simple. But we used to play D&D, Dungeons, Dragons, and Drunk.
I used to be a part of those games.
Yeah, buddy Alex's old place of
That
residence.
sounds amazing.
Oh, D&D was the fucking best. The first time I got to do any kind of role playing outside of high school when I moved to Portland was with NPC over here. And he would invite me over to his place to play D&D, and it fucking ruled.
Just for the reference, the first time you played with me wasn't D&D. It was Fading Suns, right?
Yeah,
okay.
That is true.
You at least experienced me gaming sober.
But then after that, that's when Quota Kappa came up.
Yeah.
And then my cut purse player, and then anyways.
I could really go for some D&D, you know what I'm saying?
As someone who ran a lot of SS&S game, Sangria, Speed, and Sorcerers, it was...
Wow. Yeah, so we're going to have a whole episode about Jacob's checkered past someday.
Hey, I publicly admit that my life experience has been... Well, I've treated my body like a 4-wheel drive truck, and I have the dents to prove it.
Isn't that literally how River Phoenix died?
Well, no, River Phoenix was not doing speed, and more to the point, I was doing 70 speed, not 90 speed. There's a world of difference between the two.
Okay.
But
no, he was on a speedball.
He was on a speedball. Okay. That's worlds of difference. Although gaming under the effects of a speedball is fucking weird. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons and cocaine is
D&D and C.
D&D and C.
I'm a rock and roll guy.
There's like so many dragons.
Dungeon crawl classics? No, dungeon crawl and cocaine. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
C.
So, I mean, I am very open about the fact that I am a survivor of the 80s and 90s.
AD&D and ADHD?
ADD and ADHD.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm done.
And so the use of substances of all sorts.
You're a survivor of the era that made movies like The Ice Pirates.
Oh, yes. More to the point, under the TSR game Star Frontiers, I had to run a game for a group of players that decided to start off the night by getting totally hammered on Crow whiskey, my favorite.
Wait. Hold on. Crow or Old Crow?
Old Crow whiskey.
Hold on. Because I was thinking, is this some young Crow stuff happening?
No. There are old crows and there are dead crows, but there are nothing in between. And between the 6 of us, we had split 3 bottles of Old Crow whiskey, so it was a light drinking night for me. Ooh. And I ran a game of Star Frontiers.
Better than old granddad.
And let me tell you, Star Frontiers is one of those older style RPGs where there's a lot of math involved.
Mm-mm.
Less or more than Traveler?
Less.
Okay.
Unless you're, I mean, it all depends on whether character creation comes into play, because honestly, one of the notes I would add is if you were a drunk as a game master, doing a character creation session of Traveler is one of the best things you can do, because it's all about making the players track the math. And
you gotta just skip Traveler and go best to Whole.
Oh yeah, Whole is a particular mention of mine.
Okay, hold on really quick.
I don't need any more PTSD.
Hammer Crawl and Hitachi. Palladium and Pot. Monster Hearts and MDMA. What have I got?
No, Monster Hearts and Meth.
Monster Hearts and Meth.
Monsters and
Wait,
Meth.
a game about high school romance and meth? Oh my God, I'm having flashbacks.
Oh, so Gresham.
Gresham, I hope you weren't looking to sponsor a podcast, because we're not it.
Gresham, I apologize for that joke.
Gresham is currently screaming, "You mean Rockwood?"
No, I think
It's
you mean
Portland.
Springfield.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. So drunk.
Drunk game mastering, running a game. You know, the first key point is to set the expectation when you get to the table, whether your players are drunk, whether you are drunker than them, whatever. Drunk DMing is one of those things that really puts into focus exactly how much weight is on a game master.
So this will be a follow-up question that we can either do right now or at the end of this. I want to know, how have you all GM'd drunk?
So you've never GM'd.
I have never GM'd.
Have you ever GM'd?
No.
Okay, so
So
you
I think
two-
all of the GMs
here
here, yes.
Have.
So I want to know what is different about your sober GMing versus your drunk GMing, and if you've noticed any major differences. That's what I want to know about.
Well, just making a note to follow up from our ADHD episode, I will frequently have a beverage or two when I GM. It helps loosen me up, because I'm, pretty wound up with ADHD. So it helps like free my mind and keeps me more in the moment and having a good time. Now, something that Jacob had said earlier reminded me of many occasions at some of our unnamed local gaming conventions where I would be gaming and Poppy would come up and be like, "Oh, hey, you want some of the special Coke?" I was like, "Yes, bring me a bottle of the special Coke." And the special Coke is just, Coca-Cola that's also like 1/3 rum.
Right. I drink half the bottle of Coca-Cola and then I pour in the
and
part of my
especially
duties.
for one of those games that starts at 8 p.m. and you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
Part of my duties as the game master's assistant.
Yeah. I've run many games drunk, but I would say that the vast majority of them were established that we would all be drinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is the best way to go.
And when that happens, everybody's expectations are also pretty levelly set.
They're on
like,
par.
We're all drinking. That means drinking things are going to happen. So don't expect this to be serious.
Admittedly, I will say that one of the reasons I happen to enjoy drunk gaming, especially if it's part of an established campaign where we've normally been playing sober, but we're having the drunk session, so much amazing character building comes out of those sessions where everybody is pretty freaking ripped, and backgrounds for characters get totally made. You fill in tons of details because why would you do that? And suddenly the person who has got the filters dropped because they're a little inebriated defends their character history on why they would do that. And suddenly you have hooks And one of the problems I have is partially due to my ancestry and other things. I don't forget what happens when I'm intoxicated.
Same. Never.
And
never have.
I have used those hooks at a later date, and I'm like, well, 2 sessions ago, you mentioned that the reason your dwarf is like that is because of this blood debt.
My history, my experience when it comes with a lot of people being drunk at the table is that it tends to just more or less devolve into tropey play.
And, to a certain degree, that's true, especially when I'm running Paranoia. Oh, my God. If you want to see every point of Jacob's long and storied history dealing with bureaucracy, get Jacob a couple drinks in and play Paranoia.
What do you mean by tropey play?
Okay, so are you familiar with things? Are you familiar with
TV tropes?
Godwin's Law?
Yes.
Godwin's Law is the whole Hitler thing?
It's basically every internet argument, the longer it goes, the chance of somebody bringing up a Nazi reference is increases. So it's a non-zero chance. I don't remember exactly how it is, but essentially, if there's an internet argument that keeps going, the chance of a Nazi reference increases.
You know who else did that? Hitler, right? Yeah.
So let's take that and change some of the variables.
Okay.
If there's an RPG session with drinking, the longer it goes, the chances of devolving into a reference to I want to cast magic missile is a non-zero increasing chance.
I cast fireball.
Eventually it becomes I attack the darkness, the game session. And after that, it's all tropes all the time, nothing but gaming and Monty Python quotes until the session is over.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I know. It's just that I have never gotten serious role playing out of a drunken session.
Also, side note, if you ever want to see how often you can get NPC to use the word variables, get him more and more intoxicated, this is something I've noticed about the fact that...
Interesting.
It's one of those go-to phrases. I know I have several as well, but yeah.
And I would say, too, even as a player, I would never want to play a remotely serious game. Well, just shit-faced. That sounds horrible.
What if it was Tom Waits, the role-playing game?
Well, then shots, motherfucker.
So, in other words, you do need to play in one of my Delta Green / Call of Cthulhu games.
Right.
I rarely want to play a serious RPG ever, so I'm one of those weirdos, I suppose.
I mean, I do like a serious RPG. I think they're a lot of fun. I do enjoy them, but I have a hard time taking something like D&D super seriously because the whole concept is so silly to me.
It's really hard to take seriously when the entire concept of what you're about to do is ridiculous.
So you add that extra D to the equation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I blacked out.
No, Dickel. Like Dickel rye whiskey.
Oh, that's good stuff, yeah.
Yeah, D&D and D. Anyways.
No, it was actually D is the Dickies. It's the punk rock band from the 90s.
Not like a little cravat thing over your neck?
No, it's the very uncomfortable brand of hard-wearing pants.
No, it's D&D-WD, Dungeons and Dragons with Dickie.
Dungeons and Dragons and Dungeness Crab?
There we go. Yeah.
Dungeness. Yeah, okay.
For our Coastal Con someday?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so that's why, I've always liked drinking when I play D&D because I just can't keep a straight face when I play that fucking game. And so every time I've played that, mostly with NPC over here, it has just made for a fun, lighthearted, good time with ridiculous characters, of whom most of, even though intoxicated, were able to go and still play the ridiculous characters really well without metagaming, and it was very impressive. Shout out to Christine Riot right there, because boy, Christine was good at that, even though I was a total asshole to her.
So, as someone who's been called on at the last minute to run games, including running games at parties where I am very hammered, I have no prep time, and suddenly my a group of players is like, this party's winding down, dude. Let's just run a game. I have some Yeah. And Allison is, Allison's here and she wants to try out gaming. And so let's do this, dude.
I just want to get laid. That's why we got to play this game,
That's
man.
when you turn to Allison and say, Allison, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
There's like two ways for a nerd party to go. It either devolves into D&D or into an orgy.
I mean, into...
Porque no los dos.
D&D. Okay, anyway.
D&D and DM. And... But...
Again, with those acronyms.
I mean, the crossover between the gaming community and the S&M community is not small. Yeah. Anyways, the advice to game masters who have to run while drunk. Obviously, the best choice is to have your players drinking at the same time. Otherwise, definitely recommend to your players that you play something light. When I've been put on the spot to run games, when I am drunker than I expected to be or whatever, let's do a one-shot. And that's how things like some of the great Paranoia games ran happened, or the all-halfling party, or the inverse, the all-posh elf party, or the all-Yazarian party for Star Frontiers. That the tropey, just go for it with gusto.
Or may I encourage you instead, if you are so inclined, to go to Google, open up that web browser, type in the words, single word, no space, hammer crawl, and enter, and just generate yourself a completely ridiculous random character and feed it to a dungeon.
I will say that I think that the perfect game, whether as a DMGM, MGO, I don't know anymore.
TMA, too many acronyms.
There it is.
WTF, mate. OMG, WTF, LOL, BBQ.
Okay.
Jesus.
Now I want barbecue.
Yeah.
The perfect game to, I think, GM and also to play to is, in fact, hammer crawl.
Well said. Every syllable spoken. Chef's kiss.
Now I want D&D and BBQ. Like, can we make that happen too?
Oh, you've never been to one of my hosted Dungeons and Dragons games?
No.
Motherfucker.
But more on that later. Yes, hammer crawl.
Hammer crawl while inebriated is one of the best, most fun adventures you can ever have.
HC and CR,
Well,
Crown Royal?
so-
Hammer crawl and Crown Royal?
No.
Yes.
No.
There have been sessions of hammer crawl that I've run for parties, essentially, where eventually we're all hanging out, the party's winding down, we all realize that we're all in this room, the leftovers, some big fucking nerds. So let's play some hammer crawl, where the rule was your character dies, that's fine. But if you want to come back in, you draw a character and take a shot.
Yes. Having been the bartender for one of those sections.
Well, if you mean by bartender, I have a stand over here with all the booze that people brought, which is 80% vodka, then yes.
I may remember somebody's bachelor party where I was making sure that all the participants were drinking.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Okay, hammer crawl and Hefeweizen.
Good choice. Good choice for a warm-up. Hammer crawl, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's go drink some 4.5% beers and get drunk off of that.
Fine. Hammer crawl and Hennessy.
Oh, my God.
Hammer crawl and Hendrix.
What's that?
Gin.
Oh, gin.
Are you going to go my way?
I'm going to go your way now. But yeah, no, definitely propose to your players doing a one shot, doing something light. Honestly, pulling out the Traveler set and doing just character creation is an epic thing to do when you're drunk, just because nobody enjoys dying in Traveler unless they've had 6 shots.
Drunken character creation is something that we have proven to be 100% always a treasured experience with your
good time.
Drunk
Night Bane to this day is still like the most fun I've ever had.
Crystal Bear.
Fucking Crystal Bear. Man, we need to get Linsel back on here sometime.
We really do.
Man,
Oh my
miss
God.
him.
So I was not here for the Nightbane episode, and it's literally the only episode, the recording of, I hold vaguely against you guys, even though the reason for me not being there and you doing it was 100% justified.
I just had an idea, though. Something that could be fun is, again, it requires buy-in from all of your players. If you are running a long-running campaign and you have maybe options for a sillier approach to an evening, perhaps you're doing a straight-up D&D game as it is modernly run, which is the, kind of freak show group that doesn't really make sense anywhere, the plucky adventurers and whatnot, and you're all adults of legal age who are able to engage in such things. Consider an alt night where you all drink and play, but your characters are also drunk. And then you go into it stating that whatever happens stays in Vegas kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. Hammer bar crawl.
What? I cannot believe you are missing the obvious.
Yes.
What?
Hammered crawl.
Hammered crawl.
Yes.
So we have the name of a future meetup for the podcast.
Yes.
My
Hammer
God.
Crawl.
Hammered crawl.
Hammered crawl.
So
Oh my God, this is happening.
This is happening. This could happen in the Dells.
Jacob, take notes.
I don't need to. I remember when I'm drunk.
Actually, I'm pretty sure Aaron Bowman coined that the last time we hung out with him.
I love it. I love it.
Okay. Shout out to Aaron Bowman, friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
And he can be the person that leads us because he doesn't drink.
He doesn't drink. He can be our
Oh my God.
he could be our
I know.
guardian.
But he has such energy and patience. I think that
Clearly, he still likes us.
Yeah.
So one of the inverse topic we will discuss at a future date is how to GM when you're the only sober person at the table, which I also have experience as. But yeah,
oh my God, I had the horrible experience of trying to run some board games for a bunch of stoned people.
Oh my God.
It was the worst. Except for one guy whose thing was the more weed he smoked, the better he got at board games.
There's always that one guy.
Riffs and rips.
Raps, not rips.
Yeah.
Reps, not rips.
Reps, not rips.
Ritz?
Ritz. Well, Ritz go with everything.
They really do.
Cream cheese and the pick a pepper sauce.
Yeah.
Are you all stoned right now?
No.
Just a little drunk.
Okay.
Now I'm wanting Ritz and cream cheese and salmon. And I am also wanting...
Sure?
I am also wanting to...
We're getting the fucking munchies here. We have too much to drink.
And I also want to talk about the fact that when you're drunk is actually a stunningly good time to introduce players to a game you're designing. I knew I would get that reaction.
I too have played Don't Die.
Not if you want legit playtest experience, but sure, why not?
No, seriously, I have done Transformers, the role-playing game. Right, I ran my first playtesting session drunk. I ran Escape from Nowhere drunk, and I ran a rule set for an alternative rule set for a game called Last Light, all drunk. And let me tell you, especially if you're a weirdo like me who remembers every horrible thing you did while intoxicated the next morning, it is a proof of concept for your rule system. Can it survive you and the players intoxicated?
Okay, that's fair.
Potato vodka and playtesting?
I've done that. That was.
I couldn't think of a drug or alcohol that starts with P.
That was Transformers, the role-playing game.
Oh, dear.
PCP and playtesting is right there.
PCP and P.
PCP and playtesting? Oh, God, no.
Oh.
You heard it here first.
We really need
Not with that attitude, young lady.
Oh, my God. I now have a desire to design a game where everyone's a fish.
Well.
So, really quick, since at the end of the podcast,
Jacob.
What? Yeah.
PCP was originally a fish tranquilizer.
Oh,
But if you want a game where everybody's looking through a fishbowl, then it's got to involve ketamine.
Oh, good God. Okay, here we go.
Okay, holes and role playing. I have not done that, but I have had that player at my table.
Yeah.
They were a girlfriend of one of the members of a regular in my group, and it was amazing.
On that note,
Versed and Victory.
well
then.
yes.
So, real quick, if you get that inebriated while you're gaming, planning on it, make sure you understand that all your friends are sleeping over that night.
Oh, yeah.
Take their keys.
Take their keys.
Yeah.
Make little beds up ahead of time.
The most boring party in which you all put the car keys in the same bowl.
Right.
One of the things I did regularly for a long portion of my life up until I moved to Portland, and it's one of the things I miss greatly, was shacking up in a cabin for a long weekend, 3-4 days. And there was, we lined up the liquor on the counter, and it was a role-playing weekend.
Nice.
And, I would cook, people would drink. It was amazing.
That does sound amazing.
And, what was some of the best campaigns I've played in my life? That was the extended session 0. And everybody was intoxicated. I forced people to take notes. That's another tip if you're drunk DMing.
Good call.
Force people to take notes.
No, dude. Record
Just
it all.
record it.
Because then you got blackmail later.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to go there, but there might be a few micro cassettes around with a couple lawyers from Minnesota with stuff they don't want to ever get public.
So, Jacob, your bachelor party,
Mm-hmm.
I am foreseeing Twilight Imperium and tequila.
Ooh.
At some house. For a weekend.
I mean, first of all, if we're playing Twilight Imperium, you bring out Evil Jacob in spades if alcohol's involved. And, nobody wants to deal with Evil Jacob.
What if we do Command and Conquer and ketamine?
No.
No, it's a C, so it'd be cocaine.
Oh, Jesus.
I know, but the alliteration is better with.
Yeah.
The feds are very interested in this episode.
Yes.
Yeah, this one is going to have a fun time when I upload it to YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Come at me, Johnny Law, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, on that note, let's close this shit out.
Let's close this shit out. It is entirely possible to run a game while inebriated or under the influence of substances. The key points are knowing your limits, knowing your players, and establishing ground rules in advance. Look for stuff that's fun for you, especially, and consider simplified rule sets or simplifying the rule set that you're dealing with. Everything from flashbacks to alternate side adventures that, may or may not affect the game's continuity to everything, to grabbing a bunch of dice and test running one of the games you're developing.
And also, too, if you're a player in one of these games, as we've said before on this podcast, if everyone is establishing that we're drinking or doing other stuff, make sure that you don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy that extends to both of you. As GM, don't show up to a game drunk unless everybody is expecting it. And as a player, don't show up to a game drunk unless everybody's expecting it.
Right.
That should go without saying, but
Absolutely.
for many of you, it doesn't. So
It doesn't.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah, your limits, keep a good buzz, but don't get drunk. Because then you're just going to be like, That's all I know, it's fucking gin and tonic, motherfucker, Like, you want to just keep a good buzz that loosen you up, lower those inhibitions a little bit, but not so much that you're a dick bag.
I need to run a game for Poppy where she's 3 G&Ts in.
I'll be asleep.
Well, then I have the answer for that.
That game is called Letterkenny and Leinenkugels. And you've been listening to Bikers, Dice, and Bars. This is NPC.
This is Just Jacob, the developer for the upcoming Letterkenny game. Keep it shiny side up.
Yep.
This is Dr. Xander Gerrymander. If you need any certain types of medications, I am a doctor.
He's not his first name is Doctor. I am Poppy Beaujolais. And please always drink responsibly.
Yes.
For the love of all that is holy, please drink responsibly.
Or for the love of all that is unholy.
Or whatever.
Or scientific.
Yes,
or,
for the love of Carl
layman.
Sagan.
Yes.
Do crimes, save lives.
There you go. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for joining us, friend. We've reached the end of Bikers, Dice, and Bars. Talking bicycles and motorbikes, gamer things and all the like. You can listen to it in your car. But Bikers, Dice, and Bars. Bikers, Dice, and Bars. Bikers, Dice, and Bars. Bikers, Dice, and Bars. Yep.